The massive construction site fell silent as the billion-dollar excavator suddenly shut down in the middle of a critical foundation project. Engineers rushed toward the machine carrying laptops and diagnostic equipment while the company's powerful CEO watched millions of dollars disappear with every passing hour. At that exact moment, an old pickup truck rolled slowly through the gate, driven by a quiet single father wearing dusty work boots and a faded work shirt. The CEO glanced at him, smiled with open disbelief, and casually remarked that the site needed real engineers, not small-town mechanics. Laughter spread among several executives, but less than an hour later, the same humble father would restart the machine that none of the company's highly paid specialists could repair, leaving an entire industry speechless. Before this unforgettable story begins, if you believe kindness, humility, and second chances can change lives, please like this video, leave a comment, share it with someone who believes people should never be judged by appearances, and subscribe to Kindness Paradise. Your support helps us continue creating emotional stories that inspire hope and remind the world that true wisdom often hides beneath the simplest lives. Elias Mercer had spent the last 6 years raising his 11-year-old daughter, Chloe, after losing his wife to a sudden illness. Every morning before sunrise, he made breakfast, braided Chloe's hair before school, and drove her there in his weathered pickup truck before heading to his small equipment repair shop on the outskirts of town. Although business was modest, people who truly knew heavy machinery respected Elias as someone capable of repairing engines that manufacturers often declared beyond saving. He had learned through decades of hands-on experience that machines, like people, usually fail for reasons deeper than what first appears. Long before opening his repair shop, Elias had worked as a senior field engineer designing hydraulic systems for heavy construction equipment. When family tragedy changed his priorities, he quietly left the corporate world to spend more time raising Chloe. Very few people knew about his remarkable engineering background because he never spoke about past achievements. He believed that character should introduce a person long before titles or expensive business cards ever could. That bright spring morning, Elias received an unexpected phone call from a subcontractor working on the city's largest infrastructure project. The company urgently needed replacement hydraulic hoses, and Elias happened to have the exact components in stock. Loading them into his pickup truck, he drove toward the enormous construction site without realizing he was about to walk into one of the most expensive equipment failures the region had ever witnessed. Towering cranes filled the skyline while hundreds of workers moved across the busy worksite beneath clear blue skies. At the center of the project stood a brand new excavator valued at nearly $18 million. During a crucial excavation, the machine had suddenly lost hydraulic control and completely shut down. Manufacturer specialists, software engineers, and diagnostic technicians had spent hours attempting to restart it without success. Every delay cost the company hundreds of thousands of dollars as construction schedules fell further behind. Watching everything unfold was CEO Vanessa Whitmore, the ambitious leader of Whitmore Civil Engineering. Brilliant and determined, she had built one of the country's largest construction companies through relentless hard work. Yet years of corporate success had also convinced her that expertise always arrived wearing expensive suits, advanced degrees, and prestigious job titles. When she noticed Elias stepping from his aging pickup truck carrying a toolbox, she assumed he was simply a delivery driver bringing replacement parts. As Elias unloaded the hydraulic hoses, he quietly observed the disabled excavator from a distance. Within minutes he noticed subtle details everyone else had overlooked: tiny pressure fluctuations, an unusual hydraulic vibration pattern, and faint discoloration near one of the control manifolds. Respectfully, he mentioned to a nearby supervisor that the problem might not be electronic at all. Before he could explain further, Vanessa overheard the conversation and smiled dismissively. She remarked that dozens of certified engineers had already examined the machine and suggested the local mechanic focus on delivering parts rather than diagnosing equipment worth millions of dollars. Several executives laughed politely while returning their attention to the frustrated engineering team. Elias simply nodded without taking offense. He finished delivering the replacement hoses and quietly prepared to leave. Yet as he glanced once more toward the silent excavator, years of engineering experience told him the real problem remained hidden in plain sight. Unknown to everyone at the construction site, the next few minutes would challenge every assumption they had made about knowledge, humility, and the true meaning of expertise. The afternoon sun beat down on the construction site as another hour passed without progress. The giant excavator remained motionless while engineers replaced electronic modules, updated software, and ran countless diagnostic tests. Nothing worked. Every failed attempt added thousands of dollars to the mounting losses, and the atmosphere grew heavier with frustration. Elias Mercer quietly stood beside his old pickup truck, preparing to leave, but one senior site supervisor who had noticed his calm confidence asked if he would at least take one careful look before they called for another overseas specialist. With Vanessa Whitmore's reluctant permission, Elias climbed slowly onto the silent excavator. Instead of connecting expensive computers, he simply listened. He rested one hand against the hydraulic housing, studied the pressure lines, and examined a small manifold hidden beneath protective panels. Within minutes he discovered a hairline crack inside a newly installed hydraulic pressure valve. The defect was so small that electronic diagnostics could not detect it, yet it caused microscopic pressure losses that forced the entire safety system to shut the machine down automatically. It was the kind of failure only someone with decades of hands-on engineering experience would recognize. Using a spare valve already available in the maintenance inventory, Elias carefully replaced the damaged component, recalibrated the hydraulic pressure manually, and instructed the operator to restart the system. For a few tense seconds, the massive engine remained silent. Then the excavator roared back to life. Hydraulic arms moved smoothly, warning lights disappeared, and the enormous machine resumed operating as though nothing had ever happened. Workers across the site burst into applause while stunned engineers stared in disbelief at the equipment they had spent hours unsuccessfully trying to repair. Vanessa felt both relief and embarrassment. She realized she had dismissed Elias not because of his knowledge but because of his appearance. Curious to understand who he really was, she asked about his background. Only then did she discover that before becoming a single father and opening a repair shop, Elias had helped design hydraulic systems for heavy construction equipment used around the world. Family tragedy had led him away from corporate success, but his expertise had never disappeared. He had simply chosen a quieter life devoted to raising Chloe. Deeply humbled, Vanessa sincerely apologized for mocking him in front of her executives. Elias accepted her apology with quiet grace, explaining that machines never care about titles, expensive clothing, or business status. They respond only to understanding, patience, and experience. Those same qualities, he gently added, often help people more than pride ever can. Impressed not only by Elias's engineering brilliance but also by his character, Vanessa offered him a senior consulting position overseeing equipment reliability across all future projects. Elias respectfully declined the executive office, choosing instead to remain close to his daughter and continue running his small repair shop. However, he agreed to mentor Whitmore Civil Engineering's young engineers one day each month, teaching them practical skills rarely found in textbooks. Under his guidance, the company dramatically reduced equipment failures while developing a culture that valued humility alongside technical excellence. If this story touched your heart, please like this video, share it with someone who believes wisdom is earned through experience, leave a heartfelt comment, and subscribe to Kindness Paradise for more emotional stories celebrating hope, family, and second chances. Special request. Please comment, never judge skill by appearance. As the golden afternoon sunlight reflected across the now fully operational construction site, Elias quietly packed his toolbox into the old pickup truck and drove toward Chloe's school. He smiled knowing that the greatest achievement of the day wasn't fixing an $18 million excavator. It was showing an entire company that true expertise speaks through actions, not appearances. 1 year after the excavator breakdown, the construction project that had nearly fallen months behind was completed ahead of schedule and became one of the safest and most successful infrastructure developments in the country. Industry magazines praised Whitmore Civil Engineering for its remarkable improvement in equipment reliability, but inside the company everyone knew the real turning point had not been a new machine or expensive software. It had been the day a quiet single father in an old pickup truck reminded an entire organization that experience can never be replaced by pride. Vanessa Whitmore never forgot the lesson she learned that sunny afternoon. She completely changed the culture of her company. Every employee, from apprentices and equipment operators to senior executives, was encouraged to speak up whenever they noticed a potential problem. New engineers were taught that practical knowledge earned in the field deserved the same respect as university degrees. During leadership conferences, Vanessa openly shared the story of how she had once mocked a local mechanic before discovering he was the only person capable of saving a project worth hundreds of millions of dollars. Her honesty earned admiration far greater than pretending she had never made a mistake. Elias Mercer continued living the simple life he cherished. Each morning still began with preparing breakfast for Chloe before driving her to school in the same weathered pickup truck. His small repair shop became a respected training center where young mechanics and engineering students learned not only how to repair heavy equipment but also how to approach every challenge with patience, curiosity, and humility. Elias reminded every apprentice that machines reveal their secrets only to people willing to listen carefully instead of making assumptions. Several of Widmore Civil Engineering's youngest engineers volunteered to spend weekends learning inside Elias's workshop. There they discovered lessons impossible to find in technical manuals. Elias taught them that the smallest sound, the faintest vibration, or a nearly invisible pressure change could reveal more than the most advanced computer if someone truly understood the machine. More importantly, he showed them that the best engineers never stop learning, no matter how much experience they gain. 1 year after the famous repair, the company invited Elias and Chloe to the grand opening of the completed project. In front of employees, community leaders, and construction workers, Vanessa unveiled a bronze plaque installed inside the project's operations center. It carried a simple message: knowledge earns respect, humility earns trust, together they build the future. The audience applauded as Vanessa publicly thanked Elias for teaching lessons that reached far beyond engineering. Looking at Chloe smiling proudly beside her father, everyone understood that the greatest legacy Elias had created was not a repaired excavator but a generation of engineers who would forever value people by their character rather than their appearance. If this story touched your heart, please like this video, share it with someone who believes kindness and humility create true leaders, leave a heartfelt comment, and subscribe to Kindness Paradise for more emotional stories about family, courage, and second chances. Special request. Please comment: true greatness is measured by character, not titles. As the warm evening sun settled behind the completed skyline, Elias and Chloe climbed into their old pickup truck and drove home together. Tower cranes stood silent, the excavators rested after another successful day, and thousands of families would benefit from the project for generations. Elias glanced at his daughter and smiled, knowing that the most important things he was building had never been bridges or foundations. He was building a life that taught Chloe, and everyone who met him, that humility can accomplish what pride never will.